Hey, good morning, everybody. Yes, it is Friday, the 19th of June. Happy TGIF to all of you. It is 6:49 in the morning as we do this live. And there goes my mic. And a little bit there. Sorry. But yeah, welcome. It is, like I said, it is 6:49 in the morning as I adjust the mic there on this TGIF. Of course, thank God it's Friday. Um, 2020. Yeah, I'm still waking up a little bit. But yeah, it is time for our TGIF edition of Topics on My Mind. And yeah, I just got several topics to talk about here. And they're really interesting. In fact, you know, they're basically very, I guess you could say, newsworthy, if you will, to talk about. So, here we go, just getting the share icon here, or the share link on here. But like I said, yeah, I got some topics to talk about. Oh, as I type this in, there we go. Okay, but yeah, we got several topics to talk about. So on this TGIF morning, without further ado, let's talk about these topics, shall we? As I get to them, a list of them anyway. So anyway, I get to the list here. Hold on. Yes. So the topics we're going to talk about this morning are number one, and it recently was announced yesterday, and it's going to be made more official, I guess, today by several counties, and that is California Governor Gavin Newsom, or Governor Newsom, makes wearing facial mask mandatory and how long it will last, from my opinion. In other words, I give you my thoughts and opinion of how long I think the mandatory order of wearing the mask is going to last. But yeah, Newsom has made it mandatory. Number two, Disney. This is the second topic. Second topic number two, Disney to help with the reopening of movie theaters slash cinemas by re-releasing 12 movies leading up to the release of Mulan, the live action edition. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Smurfs. Number three, we'll talk about the Smurfs. Yeah, the Smurfs are going to be getting a new CGI series on Nickelodeon, as far as we know. And also, number four, My Little Pony, Pony Life finally released a trailer and along with and meet the characters clips and the theme song. So yeah, the Pony Life series spin-off Generation 4.5, whatever to call it, finally released a trailer. It released meet the character clips and the theme song. So it kind of gives us a better idea of what we're in store for with this new series. The other thing we're going to talk about is the Cuphead Show coming to Netflix. We'll talk about that. And then number six, we'll talk about and wonder what other classic films should be re-released to theaters to help them open back up again. In other words, get the audience back in there. So yeah, we're going to talk about that as well. So, like I said, without further ado, let's get into the first topic, and that is, of course, what I just talked about. Out, and this is what I'm trying to say again. Like I said, it's early. The first topic we are going to talk about here is, of course, um, the mandatory issue and order by Gavin Newsom. Um, yeah, by Gavin Newsom. Uh, basically, Gavin Newson has made it mandatory. He has made it mandatory as of yesterday and officially today, and if not Monday, that everyone has to wear a facial mask. Now, here's what's interesting about this. The information that has been given out has kind of been misinterpreted. It's been given mixed signals. From what we can understand, or from what I can understand as well after talking with others, is basically is basically uh, the mask are only to are only meant to be used when social distancing can't be achieved. In other words, the 6 feet apart deal, or if you're in high risk places, either inside or out. Like if you're in a store, or if you're just walking around a crowded sidewalk or city park or wherever, then the masks are necessary. Now, the main reason for this is to help, decrease the cases when it comes to this virus, but also it's to, as Newson put it and others have put it, help, rebuild, help reopen most of the economy. Because obviously the goal at the end is to, like say, decrease the cases, but to also reopen the economy. It's like the more you wear the mask to protect yourself, and I guess to protect yourself or protect others, whatever, the better the chances, the stronger the chances the economy here in California has to get better, as well as businesses have a chance to reopen. Now, obviously, this decision has been met and probably still will be met with a lot of criticism. Some people want the state open up, there's no doubt. But here's the thing. Here's where a lot of the mixed signals, a lot of the criticism, a lot of the okay, well, what do you want? The question of what do you really want, is asked to a lot of people, comes into play because when this announcement of facial mask being mandatory was made, not a lot of people liked it. My pastor even put a, teary-eyed emoji as a comment on it because my pastor in my church, he doesn't like wearing masks. He doesn't feel the need to wear them or anything. He doesn't feel like they're necessary. But yet now, since he lives here in California, he's got no other choice but to wear it when he goes into public places. Like if you're out and about and it's not so crowded or anything, you'd be okay. It's like you don't have to wear it it's not like you have to wear it 24/7. It's not like you have to wear it when you step outside your house or anything like that. You just have to wear it when you go into high risk areas, like into a store possibly, or like I say, walking among crowded people, or you're in a park area, or like let's say with Trump and his rallies in Oklahoma this week or this weekend. That's the kind of environment they're talking about. Now, like I said, this brought up the big question that's getting asked to a lot of people that are upset about this. It's like, well, what do you want? What is it you really want? And apparently, what people want, from my opinion, is they want the economy, they just want everything opened up and things back to normal like that. You see, there's a lot of people that feel, I should say, the whole virus thing is a bunch of BS. Like, yes, it's a serious deal, but we're over exaggerating it. We're overhyping it, more than we should. And as well as these same people are pointing out the fact that these masks should only be mandatory for those that are sick, not those that are not, but those that are. And I think that's why a lot of people are upset about it. I mean, I read one comment where somebody was like, "Well, wait a minute. You protest and angry that the economy is not open up, and then when it opened up, you're happy, but now you're upset because you have to wear a mask that you were okay with wearing while things were at a high risk, but now you're mad that you have to wear it again because they want to quill the cases. They want to lower the cases because there have been a spike apparently in cases. And like I said in my topics on my mind video last Saturday, and I even did even upload that clip here on YouTube on its own, that it seems ironic that the virus is making a comeback just around the same time Trump made his announcement of doing the rallies. It makes you wonder. And I think that's why other people are upset as well, is because they, in their minds, see the truth. They see the fact that, oh, well, you're just doing this because Trump is going back on a campaign trail and you don't want him reelected. And I think that's all these people want. Those that are either okay with this right now because they know it's a temporary deal, and those that aren't. They just want one truthful answer. And in their minds, in my opinion, in their minds, they're like, why don't you just say you don't want Trump running for president? We'll be fine then. Just let the truth out. That's basically what it is. That's basically what it is. In their opinion, is they just don't want Trump doing campaign rallies anywhere because the more he campaigns, the better his chances of being reelected, and they don't want that. That being the politicians like Democrats, some Republicans, and independents, and even some media outlets. So, yeah, basically getting back on point here, um, it's the Newson has made it mandatory. Now, the question though um, that everybody has is how long is this going to last? Well, I look at it this way. I look at the fact that it's going to last maybe 2 weeks to a month. That's it. Here's why I say that. Because of the protesting, because of the looting, because of the rioting, that the cases have gone up, or supposedly have gone up. So now to get those cases back, and that's happened in just 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. So to get those cases back down, it's only logical that you have to make the facial mask mandatory and maybe give it the same time frame, if not a bit more, for it to go down. So I'm looking at 2 weeks to a month. I'm looking at to possibly around July 4th, because people ain't not going to want to wear that on July 4th, especially if they're celebrating. I could see it from July 4th all the way to the start of August. That's what I could see. That's the length I see it, because by then the summer, which officially starts tomorrow, the summer season starts tomorrow, the temperatures should be at that point where they're hot enough, warm enough that it will strongly decrease the virus in a big way to where even though it'll still be around, it'll be less contagious because you during the summer, everybody knows you'll be sweating out a lot of stuff. And basically the more you sweat out, you know, the less the germs are around because you're sweating the stuff out. You're sweating things, It's like your sweat, believe it or not, has the germs that come out. So the more you sweat in the heat, the more hot you get, the better the chances, the germ will dissipate, especially if the germs in the air, the virus is in the air, the greater the chance that it will dissipate and decrease in a strong way because it doesn't like heat, it doesn't like UV, it doesn't like sunlight, it doesn't like UV rays or any kind. So I give it basically up to July 4th weekend and the end of July into August for this mandatory order to be around before it's lifted. Because I think all they want to do, as I'm just looking at something there, because I think all they want to do is just try to get those cases down, enough to where they don't to where they just will make the mask more of a recommendation than a mandatory. And here's the thing, it's not. Here's one thing I want to make clear: this is not a submission deal. I don't know where people get the idea of, oh, well, you wear the mask, you're just allowing yourself into submission. You're allowing the government to submit yourself. That's not the case. And I know and here's the reason. If that was the case, they would make sure you be wearing the mask 24/7. That's submitting. That's submitting. The only reason people say that is because they don't want governments. They have a belief of we don't need a government. We can do our own thing. We should live our own lives. And that's their opinion. They're welcome to it. But the point is, that's not what's happening. That's not what's happening. What's happening is the fact that they're just letting you know when you go someplace and you feel that place could be high risk, you need to wear the mask. Like today, when I work at 11:30 this morning, because I only work 4.5 hours, um, basically they're not. Basically, we have to wear the mask to protect. Even though when we get scanned and everything, temperature and everything, even though we, don't have it, the thing is, we're still required to wear. It's still mandatory for us to wear it so that we possibly don't get it whatsoever. And whatever germ we may have that's not the virus, the customer doesn't get that might, trigger them getting the virus. Even if it's not something, even if it's like a cough, a regular cough or a sneeze coming from us, it may trigger something in their bodies that causes the virus to happen. So that, so basically, even though we don't like it and we've all said at my job that we feel uncomfortable with it, we know it's a recommend. We know that it's a mandatory way of keeping everybody safe. Um, and I know customers are going to walk in there today. They're going to know already have heard about this law or this mandatory order, and they're going to be like, ugh, and they're going to be they're going to be like, no, 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 I don't want to do this. But it's either they don't do it or they get refused service. I mean, the best solution I think a lot of people are going to take now because of this is just order stuff online and pick it up because they're not going to want to walk into a store wearing a mask all the time when they walk in. But again, the thing is, the mask is only meant for when you, because I want to make this clear, it's only meant for when you go into high risk areas, whether it's stores or you're walking in crowded sidewalks or there's a park that's crowded. It's mandatory to wear it then. And, you know, that's about it. It's more of the high risk area, high risk places. Like you got to do, like it's Father's Day weekend. You can't tell me that my store and other stores will not be busy. So when they are, that's going to be the example of that's why you got to wear it. That's why they're saying it's mandatory to wear it because if you're going to be in a crowd, and there's less of a chance of 6 feet occurring, you need to wear it. My opinion is this: if people would just follow the 6 feet rule or the 6 feet plus rule, mask wouldn't be a mandatory issue. Heck, you could go into the store without wearing a mask, and I've seen plenty of people go in the store without masks. But point is, you could go into the store like you normally do. All you'd have to do is just stand 6 feet apart from the person you're in line with, even if it makes it look like the line's going all the way to Timbuktu. No offense. Basically, at least you'd be free to kind of have a little bit of normalcy instead of feeling like, as some people would say, you're submitting, which you're not doing. But yeah, to finish off this topic, like I said, Newson made the mandatory order that the masks have to be worn mostly in high risk areas, restaurants, fast food places, theaters, stores, majority malls, stuff like that. And in my opinion, I think this is going to last to at least July 4th, maybe at the earliest, to at the latest, the end of July into August. That's how long I see it happening. So that way it gives them time for the cases that built back up to go back down. It allows the sun, the heat of summer to establish itself, get its footing in, and really allow those hot temperatures that are going to be starting this weekend, by the way, here in the Central Valley, to start, you know, settling in and help decrease the virus um, more than we could probably hope for. That would allow, like I said before, doctors and scientists and all that to have more of an open door to get that vaccine or the medicine that's needed to fight the virus. So that's what's happening. And again, I know people may not be happy. I know some members of my family will not be happy about this, but it's either when they go in the store they have to wear it or they just order stuff online. That's the way I look at it. That's the way I look at it. And bugs, nostalgic lounge. But yeah, but that's the way I see it. Again, it's not a submission deal because if it was submission, you'd have to wear it 24/7. It's mainly when you go into high risk areas. I mean, those I just said good morning to on the live chat know what I'm talking about because I'm pretty sure the governors have, if not will, probably do something similar so that the cases don't rise back up in the near future. So yeah, so yeah, that's what's happening in my opinion. So that's what's well, not in my opinion, but what I'm trying to say, I was just looking at something there. But that's what's going on. And again, like I said, and it is early still. I do apologize, but like I said, that's what's going on. And like I said, I don't think it's going to last long. I think it's mostly going to be from July 4th. It's going to mainly be till either July 4th at the earliest to the end of July into August. That way, the cases go down. The summer, the summer season has a chance to set in, get its footing, and allow the heat that comes with it to help really decrease the virus, so that, like I said, doctors and scientists can come up with a quick, can have a more of an open door and have a quicker way of getting the virus, oh, not the virus, but the vaccine and medications out that are needed to help combat it. So that's about it for that topic. So now let's move on to number two. Let's move on to our next topic here. And our next topic, it was something that just got reported. It is the fact that Disney to help, or Disney is going to help. Well, basically, the way I titled the second topic is Disney to help with the reopening of movie theaters by re-releasing 12 movies leading up to the release of the live-action Mulan. And in case you guys want to know what I'm talking about, let me bring it up here for a second. Let me bring it up here for a second. Okay, this is by piratesandprincess.net, which Geeky Sparkles of Clownfish TV is a part of. She goes there almost, I don't say all the time, but once in a while. And this is a rumor, but probably going to be true. This is what princessandpirates.net has reported. And I quote, this is by Canberra Pratt. I don't know if that's geeky or not, so it may not be. But this is what she says, and I quote. This is what Canberra says, and I quote. This was published on yesterday, but this is what Canberra says, and I quote. I'm filing this one under rumor, but I think it will be confirmed soon. And my foot just hit the mic there, on mic stand. Okay, let me restart there. This is what Canberra says, and Canberra Pratt says, and I quote. I'm filing this under rumor, but I think it will be confirmed soon. According to the pulp culture blog Bounding into Comics, Disney plans on re-releasing 12 different films to theaters ahead of the start of new releases in late July. Let me repeat that. Disney, this is what she says, according to pop culture blog Bounding into Comics, Disney plans on re-releasing 12 different films to theaters ahead of the start of the new releases in late July. Now, here's what they also say, and I can continue, and I quote. Previously, we saw some. Okay, let me continue. Blah. Okay, get my wording here, and I quote. This is what she continues saying, and I quote. Previously, we saw something similar to this happen in Chinese theaters as well, so I do think it sounds legit. Now, she goes on to also say that the writer stated they obtained a copy of an email sent from the Disney Cinema Partnerships team that told the exhibitors they would be releasing 12 films to theaters. Now, we're going to get into what Bounding Comics had to say. She quotationed what Bounding Comics had to say. This is part of the same article by Canberra Pratt, but this is what she quoted Bounding into Comics said. Uh, um, said, or at least posted. This is what Bounty into Comics posted, and I quote, because this is the email that they got from the Disney Cinema Partnerships team, or they obtained a copy of. And I quote, this is what the email said. To support, to support exhibitors as they reopen their doors, we will be offering 3 library titles per week over the course of the next 4 weeks. Theaters have the option to play 1, 2, or all 3 titles. There are no show schedule requirements. Okay, let me repeat that. This is what the email that Bounding into Comics obtained from Disney, that was sent from the Disney Cinema Partners team. This is what Disney Cinema Partners team said in that email, and I quote, to support exhibitors as they reopen the doors, we will be offering 3 library titles per week over the course of the next 4 weeks. Theaters have the options to play 1, 2, or all 3 titles. There are no show schedule requirements. So in other words, they're not. So in other words, what Disney is saying here to the theaters is you don't have to, play all 3 titles. You can play 1 or 2. That's your choice, and you could schedule it whenever. So let's say they take one of their titles and say, okay, we're going to schedule you at 12, but then after the 12 o'clock showing, we're going to take you out and we're going to play some movie in there that's a classic from MGM or something like that. So here are the movies and time frames that would be offered. Here are the movies and time frames that would be offered according to the email that was obtained. Those movies are from the first 3 from June 26th to July 2nd. Those first 3 movies from June 26th to July 2nd, those first 3 movies would be Zootopia, The Avengers, and The Greatest Showman. Those would be the options for the June 26th to July 2nd week 1. The second week, which starts 4th of July weekend, July 3rd to July 9th, the second week, the movies that would be offered would be The Jungle Book, live action, The Force Awakens, and Deadpool. That would be from 4th of July weekend to July 9th. That would be the second week. The third week, which would be from July 10th to July 16th, the movies being offered would be Inside Out, Black Panther, and The Empire Strikes Back. Those would be those 3 offers. And then in the fourth and final week, which is July 17th to July 23rd, 2 days before my birthday, the movies that would be offered would be Beauty and the Beast, Iron Man, and Bohemia Rhapsody. Again, let me repeat that. On the fourth and final week, July 17th to July 23rd, 2 days before my birthday, Beauty and the Beast, live action, Iron Man, and Bohemia Rhapsody. Those would be the movies. Now, again, it shows what it would be here each week, and they do show the ratings as well. They do show the ratings and everything, so that's pretty cool. Now, let me get back to our name here. Sorry. Oh, Cambria, Cambria ends the article by saying this would roll us right into the July 24th Mulan release. The fact that they are all the fact that they were already doing a remastered re-release in the UK further makes this sound likely. I know I would go to the theater to watch The Empire Strikes Back. What do you think? So that's what Cambria Pratt, Pirates and Princesses.net has to say. And I'm sure Geeky Sparkles and Neon on Clownfish TV will talk about this as well. But yeah, that's what's going on. And it sounds, I know about dinosaurs heading to Disney Plus. I'll probably talk about that down the line. But it sounds really interesting that Disney is doing this. And I have no doubt in my mind the theaters are going to choose all 3. Every week, all 3 are going to be played. Because people are going to want to have another chance. Even if they own the movies, they're going to want another chance to see them on the big screen because maybe they didn't get a chance to and they want to have that experience. I mean, I know I haven't seen Empire Strikes Back on the big screen in a long time since I was like a little kid, so I would love to have that chance. Zootopia is always a treat. Inside Out's always a treat. So these are the kind of movies that even if you've seen them in the theaters once, you'd want to go and see them again just to help support the theater, help get back on its feet. So I'm glad that Disney's doing this. Could they have done a bit more? Maybe. But the way it's scheduled, according to Cambria, the way it's structured is it's going to help them not only get people back into the theaters to watch movies again, especially if it's these kind of movies like Empire Strikes Back, the live action Jungle Book and Beauty and the Beast, Bohemian Rhapsody, Greatest Showman, and all that. But it's going to help, build hype for Mulan, which is going to come out the day before my birthday, which sounds pretty cool. But yeah, Disney. I have to, despite how you feel about them, despite what you may think about them, and I know Clownfish TV, Geeky Neon, they have their opinions. Uh, they actually did a solid here. They're actually doing a solid here, so I like that, and I like the fact that they're not making it mandatory. They're making it optional. You can play. They're telling the theaters, hey, you could play all three, or you could just play one or two. So I like that. And I know some people like Geeky and Neon will say, oh, they're just doing it to get into good graces and financially help themselves out. And that's true as well, maybe. But the thing is but still, it is a great thing that they're doing, and it's a solid that they're doing, and I'm glad they're doing it. I'm really glad they're doing it. So let me ask you guys, those on the live chat, those that will comment later, will you take a chance and go see any of these movies in the theaters when they get re-released by Disney to help the theaters? Which movie would you go see E, the most out of those? Let me know down below and let me know in the live chat. So, anyway, with that said, let's get on to our third topic. And our third topic was something that I saw in an article, and one of my colleagues here online, Frank Hill, it's Frank, also sent me it. And this is courtesy of comingsoon.net. And it says the Smurfs, and this is our third topic, the Smurfs the Smurfs to get a new CGI series on Nickelodeon, or as comingsoon.net points out, calls it the Smurfs heading to Nickelodeon in new animated series. Again, this was reported yesterday. Excuse me. This was reported yesterday, and according to the article, and I quote, Nickelodeon, the number one network for kids in LIFIG Belgium and IMPS as the worldwide licensors for the Smurfs, are partnering to bring a brand new original CG animated series based on iconic properties to a new generation of kids and families around the world. It says, under the deal, Nickelodeon has licensed global rights to the Smurfs, which follows the beloved characters Papa, Smurfette, Brainy, Hefty, Clumsy, and others on all new adventures, packed with humor, heart, and high stakes action. The series is slated to debut in 2021 in the US, followed by Nickelodeon channels internationally. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Let me see what is in. Okay, trying to find more information here. This one of the okay, so they do say that some of the other stuff, part of this deal is of course branding with new product lines for like merchandise, like which spans categories like toys, stationery, apparel, accessories, home consumer packaging goods, and more that would launch in retail the following year in 2022. It says the new series is being produced by PO, PO Productions and Dubious Edition and Audiovisual, and will be directed by William Rinyard, who directed Casper's Scare School, and written by Peter Salasson, who did Sonic Boom, and Amy Safarin also did Sonic Boom. So you got Peter Salasson and Amy Serafin, who both wrote for Sonic Boom. They will be writing for the new Smurf series. And again, it's being directed by William Renyard, who directed Casper's Scare School, or at least is credited being part of that. and it will be produced by PO Productions and Dupless Edition and Audiovisual. So it says the Smurfs will be overseen by Lyra. I mean, okay. It says here, continuing on, trying to get the points that you make you. I'm trying to point out the points here, or get to the main points, if you will. It says the Smurfs will be overseen by Layla Lewis, Senior Vice President in Global Acquisitions and Content Partnerships, and Dana Kolovis, Senior Vice President, Current Sales and Current Series Animation. Okay, it says the Smurf. Now they close out the article by saying that the Smurfs partnership is part of Nickelodeon's strategy to be the home for the biggest franchises kids and families love, and it expands Nickelodeon's growing portfolio of influential properties, which already includes SpongeBob, Paw Patrol, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Blue's Clues, and You. The first ever SpongeBob spin-off series, Camp Corral, and an all-new animated Star Trek series. So, yeah, there you go. And I will provide a link. So you guys can hopefully see that. And I'll provide a link in here. There we go. So you guys can see that as well. You can read it yourself. But that's what's going on, and it looks really good. And if it's got the people behind Sonic Boom, look, I've never seen Sonic Boom as much when it came on. I should watch it. I hear it's okay. I hear it's good, and it's funny. It's basically the 11-minute short kind of deal, unless they split both 11-minute shorts into two parts. Um, but I heard it's all right. I heard it's good. Just too bad it didn't last long. Um, but yeah, it sounds like it's going to be good. And if you're doing the Smurfs and everything, obviously, this is just my opinion. You got Smurfette, she's got a obviously canon wise, she can be flirtatious with any of the male Smurfs, like Hefty or Brainy or whatever or Clumsy. If you're gonna have a flirtatious with one of them or have one of them flirtatious with her, I know people wonder why I'm a fan of this, but I think it's an obvious choice, especially if you're gonna have it as part of Nickelodeon. You gotta do the lustful melting gag. You gotta have one of the males melt into a puddle of goop and then reform later on because they got flirted with by Smurfette. And then you got to have one of the males do the same thing to her. You got to have them be suave or be nice or whatever, and have her do the same thing. It only makes sense that they should do that, especially if they're making it part of Nickelodeon. So that's what they should do. But yeah, looking forward to it, and can't wait to see can't wait to see how they really bring out a more humorous side. I mean, if they're gonna bring in, like I said, two of the writers behind Sonic Boom, I think it's going to be in good hands because it's definitely going to be it's going to be a good hybrid of the humor and the action. All right, so moving on to our next topic, let's talk about My Little Pony Pony Life finally released a trailer, so you get an idea of what the show's about, and meet the character clips along with the theme song. So yeah, this past week, actually a couple days ago, Hasbro, through the My Little Pony official YouTube page, released the trailer along with some, I think about a day or so later, along with some meet the character clips, as well as the theme song. And I have to say that what I saw here with the trailer, I thought it was intriguing. You can definitely tell they're going down more of a down that comedic route to where when somebody feels a certain way that visually you'll see it happen. You'll visually see, um, you know, that feeling occur. So I like that. I like the idea that they're doing that. Now I'm going to say this because I know some people might wonder about this. Sparity, I think, is Sparity, which is short for Spike and Rarity, which is a ship in friendship in the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic and possibly more than likely Pony Life. There is a moment in the Meet the Character clip for Rarity where towards the end it looks like she's looking up. She's got like a red turquoise bandana on, and she looks up. And her eyes are big and sparkly. She looks up, and and you got the pink hue behind her, the pink background, and it looks like she's looking straight um, at Fancy Pants, and Fancy Pants is blushing and going like "ooh," like looking right back at her. I'm gonna say this right now: if that is within the same episode, don't worry because we've seen this play out before in a lot of stuff. It's gonna make it look like he's looking at her, and maybe I look at it this way: it's gonna make it look like he's looking at her, and instead he's looking at somebody else. So I could see them doing that, but I don't think Fancy and Rarity are going to, have any kind of romantic interaction because it's pretty much been established in all different medias of MLP in the past decade that he's with somebody else. So I don't think they're going to do that. Um, I think they're obviously going to go with Spike being the love interest, or at least the one that she flirts with, hangs around with, maybe goes out on a date with. But I don't think we have to worry about the fancy pants deal because even if they do it, it's gonna probably have to deal with a potion that becomes like a love potion that makes him fall in love with her, but it becomes too much for her and everything, and maybe he becomes obsessive. I don't know. But it's gonna be really interesting. It's gonna be really intriguing. We do get we do see Spike in there, and he's got this. Spike looks like Spike. It's like nothing really changed about him, but he's like this. He's got like these little water things in his eyes to make, and it's like it's like he's having a moment with somebody or some pony, so it makes you wonder. So yeah, check out the trailer. I thought it was good. I thought it was good. It looks promising. We'll have to give it a chance and see what happens. But yeah, basically, it's going to be along the lines where the visual in this of how they feel is going to be incorporated. I mean, you even have when they do the meet the characters clip for Twilight, they show Twilight fall apart, and then she pulls herself back together, and she's like, "Hey, pull yourself together, Twilight. No time to fall apart. Your friends need you," kind of deal. So, so basically, um, it's basically those kind of things, and they didn't have one for Rarity yet. I mean, not Rarity, but for Applejack, unless they added that on. But everybody else has. Everybody else is. Here's okay. Here's the thing with the character clips. They had one for Twilight. They had one for Pinkie. They had one for Rainbow. They had one for Fluttershy. They had one for Rarity, but they didn't have Applejack or Spike. I'm pretty sure they're gonna have those. I'm sure they'll put one in for Celestia because she was in the trailer. Um, and again, the series looks promising. It looks like it's a hybrid of what Friendship is Magic is from like the setting, Equestria Girls wise, or not Equestria Girls, but Equestria wise. But it's got more of the modern aesthetic. It's like a hybrid of the worlds from Equestria Girls and the Friendship is Magic world because you get mentions of television. You see Applejack driving a fire engine, you know. So it's going to be really interesting, you know. It's going to be really interesting to see how these characters are presented. But I think it's going to be all right. I don't think it's going to be a long series. I think they've already and out. If I can go online here and hold on for a second. Hold on a second. Let me see. Here we go. Here. So basically, according to what this says here, we're looking at possibly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Trying to see. I don't know how many. It looks like they have like let me look at this. 4, 8. It looks like it's going to be about 20 episodes mainly. 20, 26, 20. Well, they got more episodes they got to have, but it's going to be probably be about 26 episodes, 20 at the uh, 20 at the least, 26, 26 at the most. And a lot of them sound good. I mean, a lot of them have some interesting things like Band Thing number 3. Obviously, it's going to be a play on the it's going to be a play on Love Potion. We have the Fluttershy effect. There is a when you look at the Meet the Fluttershy clip, there's a clip of her shrinking and enlarging. So I think that's from the Fluttershy effect. You have Disappearing Act. Obviously, that's going to deal with invisibility. So it's going to be interesting. Wondering who that's going to center around. You have Friendship Germs. Interesting. And it's then you got one called Dolphin Alley. Dolphin Alley. So it seems like it's going to be one season here. So like I said, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. It's got 18 episodes, so we're looking probably at 18 to 20, maybe 26 at the most, when it comes to Pony Life. But it's going to be really interesting, and the episode titles really kind of make you wonder, like who they're going to um, focus on, like the Disappearing Act. I could see maybe Pinkie Pie. I could see maybe Rainbow Dash. Heck, I'd be interested if they did Rarity and Spike and see what would happen there. So, really, really interesting. Um, but it's definitely got a tone to it that's going to make it its own. Like I said, the gags obviously are going to be well, obviously they're going to have a lot of gags in there, a lot of visualness of how characters feel. So I could see, like I said earlier, the lustful melting gag, where the character melts into a puddle of goop after being amored or attracted by somebody else. I could see that being played into this, maybe for Rarity, who knows? Maybe even Pinky. But the point is, I could see it happening, and again, just to let anybody that's a Disparity fan know, I don't think whatever that scene was in the Meet the Characters profile clip for Rarity when she's looking up at looking up at something, and then she's wearing the turquoise bandana and the pink hue is in the background, and then you have Fancy Pants looking back, and then you have a transition right to Fancy Pants, and he's got like a blush on his face, and everything. And it looks like he's looking at Rarity. It makes you wonder if perhaps that's got to do with maybe a love potion kind of deal that it's just going to be a one-time deal, like it's going to get out of hand and be too much for her or something. So, because it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be really interesting. I like the fact that they're also playing on to Rarity, the key, not playing on, but I love the fact that they're continuing Rarity's, love for the noir, the black and white scenery and fantasiness. So I like that they're playing upon that. And it's going to be really interesting, really funny, and cannot wait to see what we're going to get out of it. I can tell you right now that the first couple episodes will be basically the measuring stick. Well, not the measuring stick, but the first couple episodes will be basically be the testing grounds. Like, is this good? Was this the right decision? We'll have to wait and see. But I think it's gonna be fine. And eh, uh, and hello, Danica. Good to see you this morning. Sorry, I didn't say that earlier. Um, but like I said, I think it's going to be good. And unlike Teen Titans Go, which a lot of people are afraid it's going to be like, it seems to be doing only one season. And a lot of people are actually giving it a more positive comparison to Unikitty on Cartoon Network. So we'll see what they do in the long run. But the question is, though, when is it going to debut in the US? I think it's falling under the. Well, I think, like I said earlier, like I said one time in a video, I think the reason it hasn't really established a set date yet here in the U.S. is due to the fact that people are still fresh, even though it's been 8 months, it's still fresh in people's minds of the Friendship is Magic series, especially with the fact that they did the Pony Palooza last week with the finale, the hour and a half finale, and then of course, as we've seen online, you had the Friendship is Forever mid epilogue clip show miniseries. So a lot of that's still fresh in people's minds, and I think that's why they're waiting a little bit. Like it's gonna happen, but they're like just wait, let's wait, let's hold off because let's give these fans time to kind of come down from the FIM, high, if you will. But yeah, MLP Pony Life, I think looks good, and hopefully we'll get more of a sneak peek idea of what we're going to get in the next few weeks before the show comes out. But yeah, can't wait to look forward to it. And what do you guys think about it in the live chat as well as in the comments later on after this has been uploaded? What are you guys' thoughts on Pony Life and how do you feel it's going to be handled? How do you feel the characters are going to be represented? Give me your thoughts on the live chat and down below. Yeah, YouTube is a possibility, but we don't know that just yet. So we'll see. Okay, so the fifth topic we're going to talk about the Cuphead Show. Yes, the Cuphead Show is coming to Netflix. Recently, I don't know if it was like a week ago or so, or 2 weeks, but footage was released online of what the show is going to look like. It's got the style of the game. It's definitely in the style of the game, but you could definitely tell that it will lend itself to more of the kind of animation that you know, even if you're not a fan of a melting gag, whether it's lustful melt or just like a melting deal where it's like the character does the Wicked Witch quote or whatever, um, this is a series that lends itself to that gag. And I could see I think the female character that's debuting in Cuphead too, because she's going to be part of this series, you know that. Um, I could see her doing it. I could see the Cuphead boys doing it. So, like I said, I could see the Cuphead boys doing it. I could see like I said, I could see the Cuphead boys doing it. I could see the female doing it. I think Miss Chalance, I could see her doing it. So yeah, I could see a lot of the characters doing it. Now, when is it going to debut? Well, it made its worldwide debut at the Annecy International Animated Film Festival on June 15th. I don't know how that took place. It seemed as though a lot of stuff was canceled. But it took place in Annecy, France. So I don't know how that happened. So that was kind of interesting. I don't know how it made its debut. Maybe this year, since it's in France, so obviously that wasn't canceled. But yeah, it made its debut, and according to a question somebody asked in Google, it's going to be released sometime next year. So at least they're still working on it. They're still working on it. But anyway, and I think the reason they're still working on it is so that they can get every character, even from the second game, in there. So let's see. Yeah, she's a DLC. She's the triagulist. Triagulist, I guess. I don't know. Let's see. So yeah, she's gonna be in there. So they want to make sure. I'm pretty sure a lot of characters are gonna be in the series. But honestly, I think that and here's the thing. Like I said, the animation looks good. I like what they're doing, and I like what they're doing. Again, it's the kind of animation that you know could lend itself to characters, turning into liquid, even if it's by melting out of lust, attractionness, or just doing the quoting the Wicked Witch kind of deal, whatever. I can see them doing that. You get it's that rubbery, fluid, liquidy animation. So it looks really good, and it's in the style of the video game, and I cannot wait to play it. And not play it, but I can't wait to see what it's going to look like when it officially debuts next year. My assumption it's going to debut at the beginning of next year, since they're already doing its premiere at the film festival in France. I can see them premiering it at the start of next year to really get people to tune into Netflix. And I think it's going to look really good. I mean, the animation looks good. They're showing WIPs on the videos that are out there, so I think it's going to look really, really good. And I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a huge hit. It's not only going to help out Microsoft and Nintendo and Microsoft and Nintendo basically with the Cuphead series, but it's really going to make it more of a success, get me more people brought over to it. But it's going to help Netflix in a big way because it's going to be another big hit, and it's going to show that Netflix is still the place to be, or at least one of the places to be, to establish new original content um, to get out to the masses. So can't wait to see it. It looks like it's going to have a TV. It's going to be, if it gets a rating, it's going to be TV PG. That's why. That's what I'm assuming. It's going to be TV. It'll be TVY7 or TV PG. Probably more likely TV PG if they're going to go with the route they're going to go. So anyway, yeah, the Cuphead show. Can't wait to see what it looks like. Can't wait to see what that's going to be like when it comes to Netflix next year. And if you're a fan of the game, it'll be something you'll enjoy as well. All right, so our sixth and final topic here. Let's talk about our sixth and final topic here, and that is what other classic films should be re-released to theaters to help them open back up again. Now, what I mean by that is this: if you're a fan of shows like John Campy, and many others, they have noted that theaters that are already opening up or have been opened up have been mainly showing classic films from over the past several years, if not decades, to get people back into the show. Now, I know the one thing people are asking is, why should I go to the theaters to see something that I may already own on video or streaming, whether it's VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, probably all the formats? Why should I go back? Why should I go to theaters and watch it on the big screen? Spend $8 or $5 or whatever just to see it on the big screen. Well, that is a good question, but I think the answer is sometimes some of these movies, I should say, some of these classic films, especially of the past decades, are the kind that you may be a fan of, but you've only seen primarily at home. You may have a 70-inch, 40-inch, 4K television, or maybe even if you're lucky enough and you can afford it, an 8K television. You may have that, but it's and as well as a surround system to go with it, but it's nothing compared to experiencing that same movie that you're seeing at home on that television, on the big screen at the theaters. Why do you think why drive-ins are popping up in various areas? I mean, we have, drive-ins popping up recently in Los Banos in Merced County. We're having drive-ins being considered to be popping up in Stanislaus County at the fairgrounds in Turlock, stuff like that. Why do you think they're popping up? It's because it's a way of giving people a movie going experience, even if it's a movie that they probably own already, physically at home via Blu-ray, you know, DVD, VHS, or even streaming. Even if they physically own that in some way, they may have never seen it on the big screen, and now would be the opportunity to kind of complete that cycle. And people are willing to do that. If they hear a movie is good, but they don't get a chance to see it on the big screen, and then they hear, oh, by the way, this is one of the movies theaters are offering to show to get you back in the theaters, people will go and want to see it. Yeah, they'll spend more than likely the $5 to $8 to go see it, just so they can have that full on experience of being at the theaters or getting back into the movie going experience, but also kind of at least have the knowledge, or at least have the knowledge and experience of, hey, I may own, let's say, something like Bohemian Rhapsody, like I mentioned earlier. I may own it, but I've never seen it, on the big screen. So now I can. There you go. But getting back on the question of the topic here is, what other classic movies should be re-released to theaters to help them open back up? Because there are theaters that are yet to open up. Some of them are going to be opening up around late June, which is next week, into mid-July. So what movies should be, what classic films should be going in there? Well, the reason I bring this up as the final topic is, yesterday when I got up early, I saw Uh, I was just, in the mood. I downloaded, courtesy of download-soundtracks.com. I downloaded the Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo soundtrack. And even though I own the movie on Blu-ray and DVD, I thought to myself, maybe I could see if it's on television. And lo and behold, it was. It was actually playing on that. It was actually airing as I was, looking it up. It was actually airing on ScreenPix. ScreenPix, which is a um, expanded expanded library channels, courtesy of ePix, which is an MGM UA United Artist like property, or cable channel service, if you will. Basically, ScreenPix has four different channels. It has a primary ScreenPix channel, a voices channel, action, and western, which I think is kind of cool. Voices is more about diversity, which I think is a great move for them to do. Great move. Because when I got home and I turned my TV back on, because I left it on ScreenPix Voices, the movie they were showing was Cooley High, or Cooley High. So if I pronounced that wrong, from 1975, and that's good, and that's in prime time. That's good. That's good, because usually you don't see movies like that shown in prime time anymore. Mainly cable channels, whether it's ScreenPix, HBO, Stars, Showtime. They'll show those movies during the day, and that's it. You have to DVR it during the day, just to watch it later on. But point I'm getting at is, they were showing Breaking 2. So I DVR'd the last 20 something minutes of it, which I should have just not done, but that's okay. And it's free on demand through the ScreenPix on demand channel. Now, again, like I said, ScreenPix has all these four different channels, along with the primary ePix channel. And again, it's a subsidiary of MGM / United Artists UA, and they have some good films on there. I mentioned Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo. You know, the question that this topic is about, what other classic films should be released to theaters to help them open back up again. I think, honestly, take the movies like Breaking and Breaking 2, put them in the theaters. Because I know, I'll tell you this right now. When I went to Lake Comanche as a kid, they had a little theater, it wasn't a drive-in, it was more like a walk-in. It was like a little walk-in um, cinema. It was outdoors. It was a camping ground like cinema, where you would sit down on rocks, or you would lay your towel down or whatever, and you would lay on it or sit down on it, whatever, or you bring your lounge chairs or whatever. You would sit back and you would watch a movie, kind of like what some people do nowadays in cities. They would set up these screens in a certain part of the city, like a park or something like that, and they would say, "Here's the movie they're going to show for that day." Get everybody together kind of deal. Well, that's kind of what it was like at Lake Comanche, and it was like right around the corner. So the first time I saw Breaking and Breaking Two was at Comanche, and they were one of the primary show movies they would show almost every summer I'd go. So anyway, long story short, I think Breaking and Breaking Two should be two of the movies that should be re-released to theaters to help people get back into the theaters because these are classics. These are cult classics films from the 80s. These are coming of age movies from the 80s that I think everybody will enjoy. I think people they will get behind, and they will want to see on the big screen. You know, because like I said, there may be people of a newer generation that are watching movies like Breaking and Breaking Two, become fans of it, but always wonder, man, I wish I would have saw this on the big screen, but I was not born yet. Guess what? Have the opportunity right now. There you go. Put it on the big screen. Have a theater advertise. Oh, but have an AMC or Regal theater or Cinemark theater advertise and say, yeah, we're going to be showing Breaking and Breaking 2 on these days. You want to come and see them at these times. There you go. Same with another movie that I DVR'd yesterday, even though we have the Blu-ray, West Side Story, the original 1961 movie adaptation. You want to see something on the big screen for the first time. If you become a fan of the West Side Story musical and you want to see it on the big screen, and see what everybody, your grandparents, your great uncles, whatever, your great aunts have talked about, or talked about, experiencing by seeing it on the big screen themselves, now would be the perfect opportunity to do that. And I think West Side Story would be the 1961 film would be the perfect movie, one of the perfect movies, classic films, I should say, they could re-release onto the big screen. I think there's no obvious other choice, in my opinion, along with both breaking movies. Now, if those are not your now 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 if those movies are not your cup of tea, and you're more of a family-oriented kind of person, then I think family films should also fit that category. Even though Breaking and Breaking Two, I think, are fantastic family films, mostly Breaking Two. But if other movies are not your cup of tea, but if those movies are not your cup of tea, I think other films should get a release as well, a re-release as well. Even if they may not be classics, they're still classics in the eyes of people that grew up at the time they came out. Like, if you have a young kid, but you grew up in the '80s, and you have, like I said, you have a young kid or a young grandchild, or your adopted child or whatever, step kid, you know, what the theaters should do is get in contact with Jim Henson Productions and re-release movies like Follow That Bird, The Muppets Take Manhattan, Muppets The Great Muppet Caper, and The Muppet Movie. There you go. Be perfect. Good family flair there. And if that's not your cup of tea and you're more of an animation person, um, I would say contact Hasbro. Because I even brought this up one time on another topics on my mind deal. Um, have Hasbro allow you to, and I'm sure theaters are already doing it, but even though it's not much of a classic, it just came out 3 years ago. Have them re-release My Little Pony the movie 2017 alongside the '86 one. Have a double billing. Have a re-release of the '86 My Little Pony movie alongside the 2017 film. There you go. There you go. That would be perfect. That would be absolutely a perfect bill right there. Heck, even though they're animated and they may not be looked at as family features, but they are classic iconic films from the '80s. Re-released Transformers 1986, Transformers the movie 1986, put it on the big screen for the first time, and then literally maybe for the first time, even though it got like one very limited theatrical release, mainly as a world premiere at a festival, something like that back when it came out. G.I. Joe the movie 1987. even though they may not be for everybody, family wise, the classic iconic animated films, of course, based on toy franchises, that anybody, even people like me that grew up in the 80s, would flock to go see at the big on the big screens for the first time ever or for the upteenth time ever, just to get out and get back into that movie going experience. I think another movie, and I'm sure they've already done this, but another movie they should focus on, E.T. E.T. the Extraterrestrial should be on the top of the list of classic films they should bring. Another one I think they should do, and again, I'm sure theaters are doing this, but if I'm AMC and Regal, I definitely go this route. Casablanca. Casablanca's got to be one. Um, another one I think should be another one I think should be Dances with Wolves. Again, some of these movies may not be for everybody, but the thing is, basically, these are the kind of films that will get people back into theaters, even if they're being played for 1 or 2 weeks. I think I think that should be in there. I think if you're a God, I think honestly, with the popularity of Godzilla right now, you should put in some of the classic Toho movies, like Godzilla '85 or Godzilla versus the Smog Monster, Godzilla versus Kong, the original one. You know, these are movies, in my opinion, that they may be decades old and stuff. That you put them in for at least a week or two, it'll draw people in. It'll draw people in to see them on the big screen. The young kids that are becoming Godzilla fans. Boom, there you go. The people that grew up in the '80s like myself, with Transformers, GI Joe, and even Godzilla. Boom, there you go. Instant, instantly, you will have people going into the theaters. Well, you'll have people wanting to, you'll have people. What I'm trying to say is, you'll have people hearing about this and want to get back into that movie going experience and feel, well, it may cost us $5 to $8 or $10 at most. Let's do it. Let's get out and go see these, even if we own them. Let's go see them on the big screen. So there you go. And a friend of mine online, Bugs, just said, I mentioned Space Jam. Space Jam as well. You want to get people pumped up for New Legacy, the Space Jam 2 movie? There you go. Space Jam. And heck, you can, and again, here's the one thing I learned about, um, here's the one thing that I know they could do as well, because I remember going to some kind of, I don't know if it was a festival or was something. I think it was a festival in Tracy, California. I walk into one of the movie houses because they had the movie houses open for people to, sit down and watch something, and they were mainly showing Looney Tunes shorts. So I think honestly, what they could do as well, not just with Space Jam, but they could also release Looney Tunes back in action if they want to do that, or they could do the classic route, especially if they have kids, and and showcase the Looney Bugs Bunny movie, Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner movie, Daffy Duck's Quackbusters, Daffy Duck's Fantastic Island. These would be perfect, absolutely perfect. And you know what? You know, you got the new Animaniacs series coming out. Why not get people in the mood by showing um, Wacko's Wish and Tiny Toons How I Spent My Summer Vacation on the big screen for the first time? And I guarantee you that would get people to the theaters. That would get them to the theaters with their kids to see to see those films. It would get them to the theaters. It would. I'm not saying that they should. I'm not saying that they would do it, but I believe these are films, classic films of the generation, coming of age, animation, whatever, iconic films that even if they were direct to video, I think would benefit for at least a week or so on the big screen, just to help people and families get back into the movie going experience. And like I said at the beginning, both breaking movies, breaking and breaking to Electric Boogaloo, Casablanca, West Side Story. You know, these are the kind of movies that I definitely know people would come to see on the big screen, maybe even for the first time. Dancing with Wolves or Dances with Wolves. These are the kind of movies. So I definitely feel, that those films, those classic films, along with some other classic films that I've mentioned, in my opinion, are classics, animation wise and puppetry or whatever, I think would be the perfect way to get people in. I mean, Bob's show, Rob Thomas, Bob's show, recently did a review on Dark Crystal. There's a Jim Henson property or Jim Henson film you could put on the big screen and it would bring people in. That and Labyrinth. So, yeah, I think those films, those classic films along with many more, I think could really benefit from at least I think movie theaters from especially the AMC and Regal Theater owned ones and Cinemark owned ones could really benefit from showcasing them on the big screen at least for a week or two to help people get back in the mood of going back to the theaters. I think that would be the I think these movies would be the obvious choice. And I'm sure some theaters that are already opened up around the country are doing something like that. And, even like I said, even ET would be good. Heck, it may be July, but ever hear about Christmas in July? Do Christmas Story. There you go. I'm just saying, these are films that I truly believe could help all these theaters, independently owned or you know movie chain owned, like the Regal theaters, the AMC theaters, the Cinemark theaters, Cineworld theaters. I think they could definitely these movies, if they choose to put them on the big screen when they reopen at the end of the month into next month, could really help the theaters financially because there's a lot of people, a lot of men and women that have never seen some of these movies on the big screen, but they like them. They have them at home, but would probably want to see what everybody's talking about by saying, "Hey, you should see it on the big screen. It's better than what you have at home." They'll take the chance, and I think it'll work out. I think it would work out in the end. I really do. But those are some of the classic films that I believe should be released in theaters or be re-released into theaters to help them open back up once again once they do at the end of this month and into the middle of next month. But what are your guys' thoughts? What are your thoughts on some of the movies I've mentioned? Do you agree with some of my choices of those classic films? And what classic films do you think, live action, animation, whatever, over the past many decades, do you think could benefit from a weekend, a 1 week, 2 week, maybe just a weekend showing at the theaters could benefit to not just being introduced to a new generation, but also help financially benefit the theater itself? What movies do you think should be selected for to be showcased on some of these Regal, AMC, and Cinemark, Cineworld theater screens? What do you guys think? What movies do you think? Let me know down below in the comment section as well as in the live chat if you want to. But yeah, again, I feel Breaking and Breaking 2, West Side Story, Casablanca, Transformers the movie 86, G.I. Joe the movie 87, My Little Pony 2017, along with in a double billing, My Little Pony 86, I think could really benefit. Follow That Bird, Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, Muppet Movie, Great Muppet Caper, and Muppets Take Manhattan. I think could really benefit from it. Even movies that have only been direct to video, I think could benefit from it, especially from a family perspective, like Tiny Toons, How I Spent My Vacation, and Wacko's Wish. You know, I definitely feel they could all benefit at least from a 1 week to 2 week showing to help the theaters financially get back, onto a steady economical basis. I really do. And then, like I said, even if you want to, even though it's not Christmas, go the Christmas in July route, do Christmas Story. There you go. So those are just ideas. Those are just ideas, in my opinion. I see they could they could utilize. Those are movies I think they could really benefit from showing on the big screen to help get people back into the movie going experience. Because, like I said, for some people, some of these movies would probably be the first time they see them on the big screen ever. But heck, even I'm sure if Doug Walker, Nostalgia Critic, and Bob's show was asked this, they would even say Secret of Nim. Secret of Nim, Land Before Time, you know, Titan AE, if you want to put that one on there. Um, American Tail, Go Five Goes West. Those are films too that maybe for the first time you'll be seeing them on the big screen. Just saying. Just saying. Those would be good choices too, especially from a family fare perspective. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the live chat and let me know down below. Um, but yeah, those are just some of the films I feel, in my opinion, could really help benefit financially the theaters owned by Regal, AMC, Cineworld, and Cinemark when they reopen. Mostly AMC and Regal here in the States, as well as Cinemark in Canada and all that. I think these are films that can really help benefit them in the long run, financially to get people back into the movie going experience. Because, like I said, it may be the first time some people see these movies that they own, but they would like to see on the big screen. It would help them out in a big, big way. But what do you guys think? What do you think down below? Let me know in the live chat as well as in the comment section. And that's gonna about do it though, guys. Eyes for this TGIF edition for topics on my mind for today, the 19th of June, 2020. I hope you all have a good Friday. Be safe. Hope you have a good Father's Day weekend. And I will talk to you all later. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for joining me in the live chat. And I am out of here, guys. I'm going to rest up a little bit because I do have to work today, but I don't have to work till 11:30. Thank God for that. But I will talk to you all later. Take care. God bless. And I am out of here. Peace.